Good morning. It is October 20th, 2022. It's a Wednesday or Thursday, I think. And yeah, Thursday. And I've got some stuff that I got to be bringing up. Thankfully, it's all going to be linked in. So this is going to be a huge segment. It's probably going to take the full hour. And I apologize for that. But these are all individual things that are linked together. And I'm going to start with the polls show that Democrats might lose the midterms. There was a whole list of reasons why, because everybody thinks that the Democrats are just these big failures and blah, 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 blah. Sorry, that coffee is still in that coffee taste is still there. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about the top 4 reasons why everybody's thinking this, starting with the fourth and work my way up to number 1. The fourth reason why they think that Biden and the Democrats are a failure: the abortion issue. Okay, Biden did not ban it. You know, it's an available medical thing that's supposed to be there for everybody. Biden didn't ban it. So and every Democrat so far is sticking with Biden administration and demonizing the Republicans and the conservatives and all this other stuff. That doesn't make him a failure. That doesn't make even the Democrats a failure. So I really don't see how that's such a horrible thing. You know, for them to say, well, we got to vote for every Republican and not vote for Democrats because the abortion. You know, well, again, Biden didn't ban it, you know. So you've kind of lost me there. That's the most ridiculous one. The number 3, immigration. So far, Biden's the only one that's still tackling it without local help. Texas is 100% proof of this. Texas, the governor is just interfering with everything and making a huge mess out of all of the organization that the current administration is doing. So no, there's no failure on his part. It's just a big mess that's being committed by everybody who's against this current administration, and that's all that there is to it. The economy, once again, the current administration's not doing all of this price hiking. He's calling out on all these companies and industries to stop price gouging. If we get anybody and everybody that's backing him up and backing up the administration, they could make that into law. That that companies stop price gouging. Okay, Biden's not responsible for this. This is a responsibility of every single one of those major companies. They're doing that on their own, plain and simple. The number 1 reason why everybody's saying Republicans might win and the Democrats might lose the midterm election is crime. Okay? Crime has risen. Crime is everything. It's all this destruction and mass horror stuff and everything. Okay, first off, whether it be appointing people at the border to nab traffickers, or whether it be to stop funding the police and all of this combative gear and armor-plated RVs and machine guns that the police just don't use. Biden is the one that's doing all these different tactics to make sure that the law is fighting crime. Okay? Why I'm mentioning this, what makes me say that is because if you all stop to remember, whenever a Republican is in charge, stop and frisk goes into play. Pull over and profile and pull over, whichever, pick one. You know, in short, to dumb that even down even further, when Democrats are in charge, crime is actually being fought against. When Republicans are charged, you're being accused of that crime. You who are being profiled. And it doesn't just happen to be African Americans. It's also Asians. It's also Latinos like myself. It's even other white people. Okay? There is white on white crime. It's just disguised as something else. Corporate greed, religious hate, gerrymandering scheme, or some kind of crap like that. But there is white on white hate. And it's all authorized through stop and frisk policies, procedures, and programs that are permitted every time a damn Republican gets into power. So, I still am a little confused as to how in the world the polls are saying this crap. In my eyes, it's very clear where I need to vote. But moving on. Speaking of crime, my current governor, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, Republican Greg Gestapo Abbott, an investigation on him has revealed that he has texted conversations with people throughout companies like the airplane company and all these other people who knew that Florida Governor DeSantis intended to fly migrants to Martha's Vineyard. He knew what DeSantis was doing and what he was going to do before it happened. He knew the intent to fly migrants. That makes him an aiding and abetting. That puts him in aiding and abetting. You know, he's nobody to talk about high crime and shame on the Biden administration. He's nobody to talk about that now. This guy took part in flying migrants, asylum seeker migrants, illegally to Martha's Vineyard. He knew about it. Ergo, he did nothing to stop it. Therefore, he's aiding and abetting a criminal act done by a Florida governor. He's over here saying crime is everywhere. Just look at El Paso, Beto O'Rourke's area. There was an emergency migrant uptick taking place. And the mayor didn't do anything because he wants crime. Well, the El Paso mayor says the White House asked him not to declare an emergency over the migrant uptick. That's true. And the mayor agreed because he said it wasn't necessary. He was holding everything down over there in El Paso, West Texas. He was holding everything down. Why in the world would he declare an emergency when he's holding everything down? He's got everything nice and steady. You know who is declaring emergency? Down to the next and final topic, which is going to take up the majority of this segment, and I apologize. But here we go. You know who is Maverick County Sheriff Tom Schmerber. And that's his real name, Schmerber. He's working with the staff of a funeral home to freeze bodies into a container who died trying to cross the border, complaining, "Now I'm a funeral director too." Okay, that's just a bunch of crap. A funeral home in the area. It starts off with the funeral home director, and I'm not going to mention him because he's just a pawn. Claiming that they can't cope with storing the bodies of migrants who died crossing the border in a refrigerator container. They can't deal with this. Technically, the county has to use this whatever resource that they have. So if it's going to this funeral home and they're having trouble, it's understandable. They got to be innovative. They got to be problem solvers and stuff. That should go without saying. That's all about being an American. But this crap where they just can't cope and they're having this panic attack and all this other crap and it's overwhelmed and it's an invasion. You know how I feel about that word? And that accusation? Why are they saying this? Why are they saying this? Huh? I'll tell you why. Because it's all about the money. Belief is the tool. Okay? It's all about the money. Belief is the tool. Maverick County, their attorney, Maverick County attorney Jamie A.J. Eracha was getting $463,000 to approve catch and jail. Okay? That's where they were catching not just migrants but Americans and accusing them of illegal migration. Okay, it's all through Operation Lone Star, the Texas state thing, and it was funded through $2.2 billion in tax-paying funds. Okay, this guy, Maverick County Sheriff Tom Schmerber, also paid $1.2 million just to enforce Operation Lone Star, in particular, catch and jail program. The city of Eagle Pass Police Department, $1 billion and change. And again, it was all to support and enforce Operation Lone Star. This was as far back as November 2nd, but if you go through my channels, it'll be on September 4th, Sunday, when I had broadcasted this. The news article was U.S. Border Patrol, 8 migrants die trying to cross Rio Grande. Okay, and that's also what got me looking into the $750,000 that was paid to an entirely different county just for picking up dead migrants off the ground. They were awarded that by Governor Greg Abbott. And now we got Maverick County Sheriff Tom Schmerber making the claim, now I'm a funeral director too. Well, that's not being a funeral director, just picking up a body and throwing it in a freezer. But you could see why he's doing that. Because if he's already crying about doing it as far back as July 21st, 2021, from as far back as July 2021 up till now, October of 2022, he's making that cry all over again. You know why? Because he wants another check written from Greg Abbott, in the form of hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's pretty disgusting, but it's just so obvious. It's just so obvious that this is all what it's about. It's all about the money. Belief is the tool. Okay? Belief is the tool. I'm overwhelmed. I'm now a funeral director. It's overwhelmed. We've got catch and jail. We've got so many people that we caught and arrested. So many criminals. And it's all to make you safer. That's the belief that they're trying to pass off. And I can tell you right now, it's still, to this day, the other counties, by the way, Kennedy and Kinney, they were also a part of that deal where they were collecting $100,000 just to pick up dead migrants, not including the $1.2 million that this Sheriff Schmerber was getting for arresting, people in the name of illegal migration, even if they were Americans, white Americans sometimes, to top it all off. Another white on white crime, just disguised as abuse of police authority. So it only lasted 15 minutes to review all this. Cool. But yeah, that's what's going on right now. We got Sheriff Schmerber in Maverick County that's complaining and crying about having to pick up dead bodies and putting them in a freezer, which is all just a ploy to get another check from Governor Greg Abbott, that's been suing the government for millions of dollars, all the way up to $4.5 billion by now, to spread the cheer around. and send another $700 to Kennedy County, or 500,000, 700,000. I'm sorry, to Kennedy County, 500,000 to Kinney, Maverick County, another $500,000 to them, if not a whole million, because his paycheck for the year is $1.2 million a year, or at least for this year, 2020. I don't know how much he's going to get for the next one. So yeah, I mean, we've got these polls that say the Democrats suck at abortion, which is not being banned by Democrats. Immigration, which is the Democrats are the only ones that are tackling the issue. The economy, which the Democrats have absolutely nothing to do with the price hikes. It's all done by these companies and corporations by their own free will. Okay, and if we get people that are not backing up our president, as I've stated before, the reason why I'm voting for anybody and everybody that's backing up our current president is because he's the only one that's got his back up against the wall, trying to keep the economy, the deficit down, and inflation down, while helping out the economy. He's the only one that's working on it. Everybody else is just doing nothing but spit. Biden's not responsible for all this price hiking that's going on right now. This is the choice of every single company, even your favorite store, that's doing this by their own free will in the name of business. Okay? And finally, crime, which, again, I'm voting for anybody and everybody that's backing up the current administration, because at least they're fighting crime. Okay? They're fighting crime, as opposed to whenever a Republican is in charge, and this whole stop and frisk profiling, legalized profiling crap here in Texas, catch and jail program, all of that stop and frisk BS goes right into play whenever a Republican is in charge. So, yeah. And then to top it all off, it's done like a Republican Governor Greg Abbott and Governor DeSantis, who knew what they were doing. They knew they were illegally transporting asylum seeker migrants in an illegal fashion, on a criminal level, and then falsely accusing people like the mayor of El Paso, who had everything, who was holding it down on his end. He had problems over there. He was taking care of his business. And in the meantime, while he's taking care of business, you got this sheriff over in another county altogether, one of the border towns, Webb County and Maverick County, along with Kennedy County, Kinney County, all along Del Rio, all these little counties and towns and all this other stuff, where everybody's saying, it's overwhelmed, give us the money. It's overwhelmed. Sign this check. We're being overwhelmed. There's too much stuff here. I want my finances. Damn you, Democrats. All that is going on as we speak. Crime. We really want to not vote for any more Republicans anymore, because we want to prevent it. We want to prevent being falsely accused of crime. And we want the Democrats still to stay, because technically they're the ones that are handling everything. Economy, we need to vote everybody that's going to back up the current administration, who's doing his damnedest to try to stop this price hiking crap that he's not responsible for. It's every single corporation and company that's doing it off of their own free will. Immigration, the current administration is actually tackling it without anybody's help, especially here in Texas. Governor Greg Abbott is interfering with all of that stuff. Gestapo Greg is interfering with all the all the organizations, volunteer up to government funded, in helping out the migrants. Gestapo Greg is actually interfering. He's sending troops down there. He's sending people down there to hate and protest and all this other crap. And he's authorizing the law to abuse their power. Not just to interfere with them, but to make Americans criminals. to charge them with felonies. Abortion, Biden didn't ban it. And as far as everybody that says, well, it's anti-Christian and stuff, it's anti-Christian, they have no business saying that. I'm going to reiterate this once again. The Christian church, the churches of Christianity, banned it starting 1869 and became a global ban by 1917. Okay? And before the ban, they were responsible for it. The church was responsible. It was under their care, under their supervision. And they threw it all out the window by 1917. Dusted their hands off of the responsibilities. They have no say-so in abortion and who gets one and whether or not it should be legal. They threw that shit out the window. They're not claiming responsibility. They're just simply spitting and banning and spitting and complaining and bitching and falsely accusing. They got no business talking about abortion. And abortion was not banned by the current administration. It's a medical tactic that needs to be used in order to preserve life. By getting rid of the one thing that will be hurting more than surviving the fetus. It would be in pain. It would be complications. There would be problems all around at medical levels. At medical levels. So there's no, the church doesn't have any right. I really don't understand how everybody's listening to the church. The church, whatever denomination the church is. There should be nobody listening to them. They threw out the responsibility 100 years ago. 105 years ago. There should be nobody to be listening to. And that's coming from me, the Catholic. So yeah, I mean, it's just a messed up thing right now. It's a lot of hustle and bustle, like this Maverick County sheriff guy that's wanting a check, claiming that he's doing all this crap that's keeping you safe, while at the same time over in El Paso, the mayor is actually keeping all of us safe while facilitating the asylum seekers, arresting human traffickers, like the one that was responsible for the 29 migrants, arresting migrants, migrant traffickers, human traffickers that was trafficking a total of 70 children in May of this year. That was all over in El Paso. They're holding it down over there. But they're being falsely accused of not handling the business because they did not declare an emergency, like the way this Tom Schubert, the sheriff of Maverick County, who again, he's not really arresting anybody. He's just picking up dead bodies and putting them in a cooler. And he's going to be up here demanding that Governor Greg Abbott, the same guy that's doing illegal processes with asylum-seeking migrants by flying them over to Martha's Vineyard, tag teaming it with Governor DeSantis. Okay? Criminal act, and falsely accusing actual workers of a criminality, And for some damn reason, all the polls show that they're going to win this year, this midterm election. That all the polls show that the Dems are at fault of everything, which, again, it's just it doesn't make any sense, but these are tactics that are being done to make you believe it. Okay? I'm not making this up. These guys are doing this on their own. These guys are doing this on their own, and they're teaming up and they're tag teaming and they're supporting each other and all this other stuff, while while everybody else is just watching this and thinking maybe they're right when they're nowhere near right. They are incredibly wrong. Bitching to do work, turning to a governor that's doing criminal acts with another governor, and falsely accusing other political leaders like the mayor of El Paso. El Paso is where a lot of stuff is being done. A lot of arrests of human traffickers are being done. A lot of migrants in stash houses are being recovered and rescued. 70 kids, again, 70 children from age 13 to 17 around El Paso area, recovered and rescued, and more than likely sent to rehabilitation where they'll get some counseling. And yet over in El Paso, everybody that's working it over there, holding their own, is being falsely accused of criminal activity because they're not declaring the emergency, allowing government, like this Sheriff Tom Schmerber, not declaring an emergency, so that way we can turn to Governor Greg Abbott, who sues the government and brings down $1 million and starts spreading it around. And of course, none of it is coming down to any of us down here, any of us citizens. It's all going to people like the sheriff. Excuse me. Sorry. I don't have an edit button. It's all going down to people like this sheriff. It's all going down to Attorney Jamie Iracha for a county, the county, the county of Maverick County, border towns. It's all going to Kennedy County. It's all going to Kinney County. Okay? It's going to Del Rio. It's going to all these places except El Paso, where everything is being held down together. It's not coming here to San Antonio. We were taking care of everything over here in San Antonio. It wasn't until Gestapo Greg came down here, did one little tour around the holding facility, and then said, oh man, there's children being raped here, all these little boys and girls. San Antonio wasn't in charge of female migrants. Okay, the girls that were unaccompanied with unaccompanied adults, or without accompanied adults, they were sent to Houston. San Antonio was in charge of the boys. So, what the hell this guy was talking about, all those little boys and girls, I have no earthly idea. But he came down here, made this wild accusation, and then left. At the same time that news reporters were talking to the young boys who were saying that they were being treated well here in my town. So, this is what you got. This is what you got going on right now, and it's total BS. What are you going to do about it? Well, I can't tell you what you're going to do about it, as sure as I cannot ask you, who did you vote for? That's against the law. Okay? It's against the law. It's your constitutional right not to tell anybody who you voted for. The flip side to that, there's a constitutional right to say that you can if you want to. I am going to tell you who I am going to vote for. I am going to vote for anybody and everybody that is going to be backing up the current administration. And especially now, while this current administration has their backs up against the wall. Okay? They've got all this resentment, all of these accusations to deal with, while at the same time holding everything down. The proof is in the pudding. I don't need to hear any rhetoric. I don't need to hear anybody's bitching or false accusations, all this stuff. The facts speak for themselves. Okay? But yeah, it's all under postings like migrant handling's another reason to vote for Beto and Biden. Stuff like that. If you ever want to scroll through my posts, take a look, just, give a listen. I go deep into it without even having to go off theories and uh, combine a bunch of other theories with it. You know, you're not going to hear me talk about Pizzagate, Watergate, and all this other crap when we're talking about, you know, an impeachment of a thing or something that's going on in China. You know, you're not going to really hear me say, you know, you're not going to hear me talk about conservative thoughts and critical race theory and all this stuff while talking about big oil, okay? All the crap that big oil is doing, you know. You're not going to hear me talk about abortion when the subject is about E. coli, salmonella, and any other list of recalls from food products. Okay? You're just not going to get any of that. You're going to get generalized stuff like another reason to vote for Biden or Abbott's bus scheme. And you'll hear some things that are something about the bus scheme and something concerning people involved with that bus scheme, you know. But you're not going to be hearing me talking, going off on rants concerning, you know, the environment. You know, that just doesn't make any sense. Everything's going to be connected. You know, the more you go into my into those posts, whatever I say has a connection or is linked or is germane to the case. You know, however you want to look at this. But yeah, that's pretty much the long and the short of it. I got one more story, but I've got to get back to work real soon. It's about the IRS and standard deductions. They're going to be taking it easier on us. So that's a good thing to sign. I'm going to dive a little bit more into depth to it on the next episode, which might not be today. I'm going to be pretty busy. I made one of my posts about a novel that I wrote, an Aztec warrior story, because I love all these stories of the ancient peoples from, you know, all over the world. I got to thinking, well, what about my peoples? And all I found was, you know, the same old, same old. These were the Aztecs, those were the Mayans, and the white man destroyed them all. So I decided to write a journey, an adventure story concerning my ancient peoples. And in that book, I've posted it here on the YouTube, but now I've got to go back to the actual website and actually start spreading it around through advertisements into other sites, particularly that allow you to say, hey, I'm selling this ebook, you know, check it out on this website and such, and I hope you enjoy it. So I got a lot to do today. And I still have to rideshare drive everybody, especially this weekend. It looks like before the gas prices rise this November, people are going to want to go out. So I'm going to make sure to fill up the tank and make myself available for everybody who still doesn't want to drive but wants to go out. I might be very busy throughout this weekend. Too busy to come back and post. And I do apologize for that, but I still got to make a living. No differently than you guys. And somebody's got to be around to take you guys around with this through this rideshare way. So that's my cue. Alrighty. That being said, I hope y'all are taking care of each other, keeping cool. Y'all take care. Y'all take it easy. This is Chris's Comments, signing out.